You are listening to the Gate 7 International Podcast, a podcast.
Hello. Welcome. We are the Gate 7 International Podcast, here again for another episode. It's the 26th of January. January transfer window is approaching a close. And my word, it got busy today, didn't it? What are you saying, Labro?
Yeah, it did get busy with the news we broke about Joao Carvalho flying into Greece tomorrow evening, and then again with Keita of Real Madrid signing as well at the same time. So I wonder if they're going to be on the same plane. I guess we'll find out.
We are going to talk more about that later. That story was broken by us last week. If you remember, we said this was a done deal. I mean, let's face it. The two presidents of the two clubs, Olympiakos and Nottingham Forest, they spoke to each other. Oh, wait, they're the same person. So, yeah, that was a done deal last week, guys. We talked about that on the show last week. And now we learned today that he will be flying into Greece and Athens International Airport tomorrow. That's Joao Carvalho, 24-year-old attacking midfielder from Nottingham Forest, looking to reinvigorate his career, really. It was broken also today by The Sun. So Kosta Lianos wrote the article and then it was picked up everywhere. Kosta Lianos is going to join us in a little while. So we're going to wait for him before we talk more about Joao Carvalho and that breaking story. He's following the Mali game at the moment. I think that's either in sudden death or it's going to penalties. Anyway, Costa's going to be with us shortly and we'll talk more about Joao later on. But before we get to that, a lot of talk about Eren Zahavi, the Israeli 34-year-old striker, or forward, if you like, of PSV Eindhoven. It looks like he will not be joining the club now. There was a lot of talk about him wanting out of PSV immediately. His contract comes to an end in June, 30th of June. He's been the victim of some robberies in his house in Eindhoven. Apparently, his family's been pretty shook up about that, and his wife's been adamant about leaving. I also was hearing that his house is actually the most well-guarded house in the Netherlands, maybe more than the Prime Minister. But yeah, there was a lot of talk about him wanting out immediately. And, a lot of talk about, why is Olympiakos going for a striker? Does it have to do with El Arabi, his contract renewal? Does it have to do with Tiquinho, Fenerbahce wanting to sign him for free? Not going to happen. What do you think, Labro, about all this?
I don't know. I don't know what to say about the Zahavi rumor. I think it's an interesting case, to be honest, with the player. He's a good goal scorer. He's a bit slower. He's older. I just don't think a player like Zahavi takes you the next step into Europe where Olympiakos wants to go. And I think moving forward into next season, it would have to be Zahavi or El Arabi. And personally, I think I would keep El Arabi. I don't really see a role for Zahavi moving into the season unless we brought back the 4-4-2, but I think the transfer moves this evening really demonstrate that the 4-4-2 is not going to be happening. I expect Tiquinho to stay at Olympiakos this window. I expect Hassan to stay in Turkey. I really think these two transfers signal the intentions, and I think that both stories broke at the same time. Justly, I think Joao Carvalho, as we reported, as I tweeted out as well last week, had agreed with Olympiakos. Olympiakos had agreed with Nottingham Forest. Of course, that's not a difficult thing to do. It was just waiting to see whether Olympiakos could do better. And I think doing better was signing Zahavi this window. That did not happen. The team put pressure. The media put pressure. PSV withheld the player. So I don't think it worked as they wanted. But it was clear Joao Carvalho was the backup option, and I think that's what we're getting. And I don't know. We're just going to have to see with the guy. I guess I don't really want to talk about Joao Carvalho until Kosta writes his story and tells us the story. But I will say this. I think Zahavi would have been an all right option, but I just don't think it's what Olympiakos needs. And linking back to my article, which was really well read, and thank you to everyone who read the article. It's not what Olympiakos needs if it's trying to build a club that compete in the Europa League or the Champions League year in and year out. Zahavi's not the player who's going to take Olympiakos to the next level, and we need some more creative choices. That's my opinion on the player. Would he have scored goals? Yes. Would he have been exciting at times? Yes. But was he worth it in the long term? I would say no. So that's really my opinion. We'll see. He comes in the summer. It's a 35-year-old with a crocked knee coming in the summer. I will see.
It's an interesting take, though. I mean, you're making the link between Carvalho and Zahavi. It's true that, you know, the Carvalho story was obviously something from last week, and then it kind of died down a little bit because we were waiting for Pédro Martíns to give the green light. You know, so it is an interesting thought process that, you know, we thought we could get something better, bring in a player like Zahavi, who is a proven goal scorer. If you look at his goal scoring record, I think he has 8 goals in 24 matches this season and 9 assists in all competitions. Got injured in November, and I think he played a game recently, so he's back in action. And okay, everyone always talks about age, but I mean, I do have a question. Who's the last under 30 player that we've bought in for a big fee that succeeded at this club? Because you can talk about Rafik Djibouр, for example. You think he came in at 26? Somebody was telling me. Rafik Djibour was brilliant value for money. But who, and I ask you, Labrador, I ask anybody that's following, anyone in the chat, who's the last striker that we bought for big money under 30 that succeeded? Shoot.
Alan Polito. I think that was it, right? Brownie Day was big money, wasn't it, back in the day?
Brownie Day was big money. Did people like Brownie Day?
I think a lot of people did. I don't know.
Come on.
I
mean, everybody thinks about
Diogo.
Everyone thinks about Diogo. When we paid 10 million euro for Diogo, and in his first season was brilliant, had Premier League clubs looking at him, and then we could have managed that situation better with him. It is what it is. But my point is, look at all the big, like, successful strikers that we've brought into this club. Yeah. Darko Kovacevic or Sinisa Gokic. I think he was 34, 35 when we signed him, and he had 2 cropped knees as well. And he was amazing. I mean, I'm just, for the sake of argument, because we always seem to talk about age, like when it comes to players. Zahavi, how can you forget the performances last season? 4 goals against us. It was like, I remember distinctly thinking, bloody hell, I would love to have this player on our team. Anyway, it doesn't look like it's happening now. The reports were that we were giving him 1.5 million euro to sign now, and that if he were to come in the summer, that would be reduced to 1 million. That's according to reports coming out of Greece this morning. Then later we found out that he is apparently going to honor his contract. Maybe is it a coincidence then later that Joao Carvalho was activated and that this story broke, when we learned about that and broke that story today. Food for thought.
Yeah, no, I agree, but I just think times are changing. You know, like Zahavi's on the wrong side of 30. You know, if he was like 31, 32, I'd be all for the move, but it just doesn't make sense to me. Like, we don't have anyone quick, we don't have anyone active. Tiquinho for me is not super fast. Like, he can run a bit.
He's not.
But
Zahavi's faster than him.
Yeah, but that's the thing, you know. Like, I just think they need someone quick and physical. Like, as shit as Brownie Day was, I think his work rate and running in Europe offered so much to Olympiakos. I think in games like that and in Europe, a striker like that is very valuable. And I don't want to say we've missed that in El Arabi because he scored some big goals in Europe, of course, but a forward who can track back, who's pacey, who could have defenders worried about being the last man. I do think the team has missed that, and really we don't have any striker like that at the moment. We haven't had a striker like that in years, I think, other than Hugo Kuipers, I guess, would be the closest example.
Guerrero, but at least he pressed high up the pitch.
Yeah, you know what? Like in those European games, Guerrero was so valuable because of the pressing. And if we brought in another striker, I really don't know if I would even take a player like Zahavi. I'd rather we take a player who can run and press, and you take a risk on a player like that. A player like Hugo Kuipers. Again, I don't get why he was released, but that's my opinion.
Yeah, well, that's a big question mark, especially when we saw that coach was looking to play 4-4-2 at the beginning of the season, and looking how well Hugo Kuipers is doing in Belgium now, playing in a 4-4-2 system, doing really, really well. We've still got 50%. I don't know if there's any thoughts about actually trying to bring him back. I doubt it, but anyway, that is what it is. Some messages coming in. Yep, Diogo's the name that people came up with as the big money transfer, but he didn't succeed. Well, he did in his first season, but then we effed things up, or he effed things up. What else have we got here in the chat? Sparrow says Fener can have El Arabi, not Tiquinho. Don't think so, mate.
No.
I mean, the El Arabi thing, we've talked about that before in previous podcasts, whether we should be giving him €2 million a year. I mean, he's approaching age 35 as well, if I'm not mistaken. So similar discussion happening there with El Arabi. What's your take on Tiquinho, Labro, in general? Like, I mean, 6 months of Tiquinho. I remember you and I were saying that this is going to be the transfer of the best transfer we've made, actually.
I don't know. He's just a bit unlucky without the preseason, without the rhythm, and I think he really is getting screwed. I really don't think he can play up top alone very well. I really don't think that's a role he played previously as well. I really don't think it's something he's comfortable with. His ball control and dribbling isn't very good. His hold-up play without someone making runs in behind him or coming close like a 10 is really poor. And I think if El Arabi can barely do those things, how can you ask Tiquinho to do those things? So I think he's a player that has been set up not to fail, but set up in a bad position to succeed. And I think the rest of the team really hurts Tiquinho moving forward. But I think you give Tiquinho time. I think he'll be a fine player. I don't get the nonsense about loaning him to Fenerbahce for what, €300,000 for the season. It's not worth it. You just have to trust the guy. I think he'll come good, and I think he just needs a run of games with a competent 10 next to him, and maybe that's Joao Carvalho, maybe that's Kostas Fortounis. We'll see.
So his best season at Porto was when he was playing alongside Abu Bakar.
Yeah, exactly.
4-4-2.
Yeah,
but
he
yeah,
used to be a dynamic striker. I remember when he came to the Cadiz, he played very well, and then he got sent off against us, if you remember.
Yeah. He
was a good player, but that's what I mean, like, oh my God, I was just waiting for this comment. Brownie Day shit. Come on, man, that's unfair to him. Great work rate, much more than, but not the most clinical in front of goal. I knew someone would say it, like, he wasn't bad, like when I remember when he was here, I complained a lot about him. He's a striker who gets forgotten for Olympiakos, but I think under Marco Silva and that European run, he was so crucial because of the work rate, because of the running. If you remember, he scored that goal against Dynamo Zagreb. Like, he's by no means shit. Like, he's no Cardozo, he's no Guerrero. Like, and we sold him for almost €15 million, €13.5 million, if I remember correctly.
Hey, so Guerrero, I don't think you should be mentioning Guerrero in the same sentence as Cardozo. I mean, Guerrero scored.
Guerrero wasn't bad as well. But you know what I mean? Like, by no means, did I say Brownie Day shit? Like, no, he's not shit, but like, okay, he wasn't.
Maybe I implied it. I don't know if it was you, Labra, but I mean,
okay,
who are you comparing it to? You're comparing to the best, like the best strikers that we've seen at the club, huh? So the Kovacevic's, the Mitroglous, the Rafik Djibours, the Gokic, and all of this. Like, where is I forgot about Brownie Day. I mean, where was Brownie Day when we played Anderlecht in the Europa League after we got knocked out by
they
Arsenal?
missed a few sitters, him and Pulido.
So yeah,
that really killed us.
No beef. No beef with Brownie Day. It's just he wasn't my favorite striker to play for the club.
That
we paid a lot of money for him.
Finn Bogason got screwed off. Like, if he sticks around, maybe he would have scored that goal against Anderlecht and given a chance. But Marco Silva obviously wanted a versatile striker, a fast striker who could press.
We'll never know. We'll never know about Finn Bogason.
Yeah.
Well, guys, before we continue, don't forget, hit that like and subscribe button to make sure you always get your regular Olympiakos updates here at Gate 7 International, your number one English source for all things Olympiakos. Help us to keep growing this international community of Olympiakos fans. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you don't miss the next episode of Gate 7 International. Hit the bell as well. Reminder whenever something pops up, new video, new podcast, you'll get that notification. You'll be able to keep watching content. Voila. Still waiting on Kosta Lianos. There were some new bits yesterday. The Guinean contingent in the team continues to grow.
Yes.
Madi Camara, Agibou Camara. Agibou is returning from the African Cup of Nations after being eliminated from the round of last 16. And he's not coming back alone. He's coming with Mamadou Kane, central midfielder, defensive midfielder that we actually signed in the summer and left on loan at Neftchi Baku. That was a bit out of nowhere too, wasn't it?
Yeah, that transfer was a bit nowhere. It was kind of like, oh wow, this guy's good. Why don't we take him? How much they cost? 300,000 euros. Perfect. That's cheap. You know what I mean? It almost seemed like that's how it worked. It was like, that guy wasn't bad, right? Everyone's like, yeah, he wasn't shit. And then they asked Madi, they're like, what about this guy? He's like, oh yeah, he's good. It's like, we'll take him with us. But honestly, I just don't know what role this guy's going to play because he's a 6 from all the reading I've done. So who is going to... Bouchalakis is coming back soon. So you have Jan, you have Bouchalakis, and you have Madi. You have Koundé coming back soon. Cameroon, of course, is still in the African Cup of Nations. But what the hell is going on? Like, why do we have 3 6s? What? I guess they just need a body. I guess that's what they need. But I really cannot say I've watched Neftchi Baku much or Ghanaian national team games. So I what am I going to say about him? But like, all I've read is like, he's a 6. He's a defensive midfielder. And Olympiakos does not need another defensive midfielder at the moment. So let's see what happens with the guy. We've heard only good things about him from people. But he's coming from Baku. He's coming from Azerbaijan. I don't know literally of any footballer who's come from Azerbaijan and become a big player. Maybe that's because I'm ignorant. I don't know, but that's just my opinion.
Well, you know, his position in the national team is actually right back. I mean, I think the opener, he played right back, and I did turn on the game in the last 16 game the other day against Gambia, and he wasn't in the starting 11. I'm not sure if he was on the bench, but he's a right back for his national team, and he plays centre mid, defensive midfield for Baku. But I don't know. Bouchalakis doesn't really play as a. Does he really play as a 6 for us? I feel like
he's like a hybrid, but he's like a really bad hybrid. Like, I don't know. Like, he wants to go forward, but it's just like, God damn it, please don't go forward. So I will never forget the step overs, the goddamn step overs where he lost the ball outside the box, and then he got injured. Is that when he got injured? I don't remember when he got injured, but
Fetanos is having some jokes here. He's like, maybe he can play left back? Well,
no. Maybe if he was a winger who is 13 or 14 years old from the academy, he would be the next Chimikas, but I don't see it. I don't know.
Yeah, and actually, speaking of, we signed someone called Almir Klica.
I didn't even know what this was about. You were like, what's up with Almir Klica? I was like, who that? It sounds like a car or something, like a new model of a Skoda. I don't know. Like, who is this? Like, where did he come from?
Yeah. So this came out of nowhere yesterday. Another one, 23-year-old Montenegrin signing from Jeunesse in Luxembourg. This is the club that we loaned. Like We loaned Alex Voilis and Yorgos Xenitidis to this team last season, so there's good relations with the club, I suppose. So I don't know who's benefiting, and I don't, maybe we'll look back in a year at this podcast and I'll get ridiculed for what I said. But Almir Klica is a Montenegrin left back that is apparently coming in to play for our B team. Initially, Kostas Nikolakopoulos was on the radio this morning saying, "I've seen videos of him on YouTube. He looks very fast." But honestly, okay. Before we descend into another discussion about we haven't signed fullbacks and we're still trying to replace Omar and Kostas Tsimikas and blah, 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 blah. Kosta's here.
Right, guys.
What's up, man?
Big day today, huh?
That transfer story.
Big day. What happened in the Mali game? Who won?
It was the best game I have ever covered in my entire life. It was a game where there was a lot of passing. There was a lot of marking. There was a lot of shooting from afar.
And no goals.
There was no goals whatsoever for 120 minutes. And there was a penalty shootout that went to sudden death. I loved it.
Jeez. Did DB Keita play?
Sorry, who?
DB, is that his name? Diby? Isn't it
No,
DIB1?
No,
DB Keita. He didn't make it. He didn't make it this time.
We didn't have a Keita in today, but
Don't worry, he's going to
Guinea
be playing for Olympiakos next week. Don't worry.
Equatorial Guinea made it through, which was huge. One of the biggest upsets. That is after eliminating Algeria, the reigning African champions. Huge.
Oh shit! Wow.
But other than that, I mean, we had a busy day. All of us, didn't we?
Yeah,
we
let's get into that. Hang on a second. Manos Gate 7. Hey guys, good evening. Would you actually like to see Zahavi in our team in this transfer window? Mate, we actually that was the first point that we discussed earlier on. Yeah. Maybe you're coming in a little bit late. You can rewind and go back to that segment and keep watching. We talked about that quite a bit. But as I alluded to at the beginning of the podcast, story broken by yours truly, Kosta Lianos and Gate 7 International today about Joao Carvalho flying to Greece tomorrow and is expected to land at 5:40. It is together with DB Keita. But Kosta, I'm going to give you the floor, and why don't you tell us what's been going on today with this breaking story exclusive?
Well, first off, I would like to make a toast to our exclusive, and no one else's. Now that's out of the way. So you guys broke the story last week that an agreement has been reached between Olympiakos and Nottingham Forest over Joao Carvalho, a player that Olympiakos has been targeting for 3 years, pretty much ever since he started shining at the City Ground. And today, me, along with Sunsport, we broke the exclusive story that Joao Carvalho is flying to Greece tomorrow to put pen to paper on a permanent deal for an undisclosed fee. The transfer seems to have been finished, completed. Can things go wrong at the 11th hour? Of course they can. I mean, between us, we've talked about the example of Willian back in 2013 when he flew to London to sign with Tottenham. And when he arrived at the airport, he was snatched by Chelsea. That is how Willian joined Chelsea in 2013. We also had Mbokani in 2014, 15 was it, when he failed his medical. But the sources and the info that we have and are being backed by pretty much every journalist in Greece right now is that Joao Carvalho is flying to Greece tomorrow to put pen to paper on a permanent deal with Olympiakos. So it seems that come February, Carvalho is going to be an Olympiakos player finally after a very long pursuit.
Yeah, and I remember a couple of shows ago, Ari was talking about Olympiakos being a destination, a certain kind of destination for certain kind of players. in this case, we're talking about a player who's clearly coming to Olympiakos as a second chance saloon, talking about a 24-year-old player who lit up the City ground in his first season at Nottingham Forest, where he played consistently. I think it was you might remember his stats better than I, Costa. His first season, I think he had 8 assists, 4 goals. I might be wrong, but we did talk to Mr. Dorr. He has his Nottingham Forest channel, and that's what he told us as well. His first season, where he got consistent games, he was fantastic, and then it just collapsed. And now he's 24 years old. This is his last chance, really, and he's signing a long-term deal with us. If he wants to do anything with his career and not end up at Famalicão in a year or a year and a half's time, no offense, Famalicão, but you did sign Ruben Vinagre. I digress. I mean, it's the guy's last chance. How is he going to fit in? How is he going to fit into a team with Kostas Fortounis coming back? How is he going to fit into a team that has Agibu Kamara basically playing that position? Can he play on the wing? I don't like this this stuff that I hear on the radio from Greek journalists when they're like, oh, he can also play on the left, or, he can play on the right too. It's like, no. Anyone that's played football in their life, they know that they like to stick to one position. And if you're going to get something out of a player, you have to play them in their position consistently, not play them once in centre midfield and once on the left and once on the right and then back at left back. I don't know. It doesn't work like that. To me, having seen some videos of him, I see a lot of Fortounis-esque qualities on the ball, vision, drive when he has the ball at his feet. What else you got, guys?
Well, actually, the stats were 4 goals and 8 assists in 40 matches during his first full season at the Nottingham Forest. But then there's been a very steady decline and was sent on loan to Almeria because of that. He is a very talented player. Like you said, like Olympiakos is the perfect second chance saloon for any kind of player to come in and hone his craft. Fortounis is coming back from injury. We don't know, and what kind of status he's going to be in. Agibu Kamara, an amazing player, but you've read my exclusives. The feeling in Kamara's circle is that he's going to be in the Premier League. He's moving to the Premier League this summer. Liverpool, Newcastle, Leicester have shown an interest in him. It doesn't really feel like he's going to stay at Olympiakos. So maybe that is the kind of transfer where Olympiakos are looking ahead. Now, when it comes to how he's going to fit, you said you can't see him playing on the wings, but it's also going to depend on the formation. I don't know if Pέdρο Μαρτίνς is still going to be the manager after this summer. I have a feeling he won't, personally. There's a big drama going on at Everton where they're looking for a really good manager. They wanted Vitor Pereira. Moshiri actually wanted Vitor Pereira. The fans don't want him at all. There's Watford as well, who sacked Claudio Ranieri and are bringing Roy Hodgson over until the end of the season. I think they're going down, but even a project like Watford is not too little for a manager like Pédro Martín, especially after this season or maybe the one before. So it depends on who the manager is going to be. But regardless, when it comes to number 10, surely Kostas Fortounis has to have this spot, not just because of his talent, but also what his character, his personality, what he brings on the team behind the scenes as well. He's not really the kind of player to be on the bench. There's a lot of factors going in this, but I have a feeling that this is the kind of transfer for the long term because of the Agibu Kamara uncertainty, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense. I think the formation is really interesting because at the moment, I have no idea where Joao Carvalho plays for Olympiakos. He's the same kind of position as Maxi Lovera. I feel like he's a 10 that can play on the wings, right? And we've seen how that has gone with Maxi Lovera. And I think Maxi Lovera is on ice right now. I think he's screwed because he didn't perform within 5 minutes when he was given an opportunity. So it's not looking good for him at all. I just don't know. I think they're going to throw him out on the wing. I really think they're going to do it. In a 3-4-3, does Joao Carvalho have a position at Olympiakos as a forward, a front three? I just don't see it. So we're in a very difficult position. Like, either the manager is going to have to switch the system to fit Carvalho or not. And is Joao Carvalho the type of player that a coach will change his system to fit for Joao Carvalho? I don't know, guys. So it's just a bit difficult for me to see how he succeeds. I think he'll be put in a position where it's difficult for him to succeed.
With Gary Rodriguez coming back, I think for me, our wings are sorted. We have Masouras on one wing, hopefully back in the goals for good now after a drought, and Gary Rodriguez on the other wing. I think those are our two starters. Ronnie Lopez coming back after COVID hasn't looked as sharp as he was after all the photos and the decent performances he put in. So I think he's down the pecking order. I don't see Joao Carvalho getting a spot on the wing. Is Pédro Mártín suddenly going to go back to a 4-2-3-1? I think he will only do that, or proven to only be doing that this season when Aguibou Camara is available. Do I think Kostas Fortounis is going to be starting at the 10 when he's fit, ready to go? I think Martins is thinking about him on the left as a super sub again. I don't know. We have to wait and see. For the record, you'll probably know Kostas Fortounis started training again yesterday. Big news. They are expecting that he will be ready to play mid to end February. There's a possibility he might play some games with the B team as well to get some match fitness. You know, he's coming back from 2 serious knee injuries. He needs to go and play in the B team, probably to face some physical opponents, get knocked around a little bit, gain some confidence before he can get back to higher level, if I can call Super League higher level. Nice dog there, Labro.
Yes, this is Gus the dog.
Gus the dog.
She's a Vizsla. Her name's no, those are masks. But it's I agree with you, Gus the dog, run off. But I agree completely with you. I just don't see a world where Kostas Fortounis plays and is a starter again for Pédro Mártíns. That's just my opinion.
That's an interesting take. Sparrows, Lovera should go to Nottingham to replace Carvalho. Not bad. Should we send that proposal to Plati Alexandras? I don't know, because Maxi Lovera doesn't look like he's staying, guys. Maxi Lovera is probably off on loan again and never going to have a career at this club, or at least not with Pédro Mártíns as coach. To be fair, he hasn't had much opportunity since he came back. He hasn't had much playing time, but in the playing time that he did have, like 15 minutes the other day, started doing the same silly shit that he used to do before he left, which was take the ball, run through the middle, and then try and shoot from 30 to 35 yards. Like, what are you doing? 3.5 million that we paid for him too, by the way. So I don't know.
There's a lot of question marks in this whole thing because we don't know if Pédro Mártíns is going to stay at Olympiakos. So what's the philosophy here? What's the end goal? What's the big plan in this thing? I guess it makes sense that you're not sure you're going to keep Aguibou Camara. And like I said, the feeling is he's not staying at Olympiakos. He's going to the Premier League in the summer. But still have Fortounis. And Pédro Mártíns sees him as an impact player from the bench. But what if Mártíns leaves and someone else comes in and sees him as the be-all and end-all kind of player? Then what? Carvalho becomes the impact player. Carvalho becomes the number 2. There are a lot of question marks that need to be answered. And when it comes to the summer, just go and get 2 fullbacks.
Yeah. Also,
put it on repeat every episode. Costa on repeat. Fullbacks. Yeah, no, it's true. We said it before you came on as well. So we've been saying it. I can't say day after day after day, but episode after episode after episode. And still, we signed Almir Klica. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right.
I read that Galatasaray is getting rid of DeAndre Yedlin, the American star, as Omar's coming in to replace him. I don't know. We've been linked to DeAndre Yedlin before. Why not? We signed DeAndre Yedlin.
But I remember when Tottenham signed him, it was like I think it was one of those players on FIFA that had 95 pace or something, and we were like, "Oh, this guy's going to be wicked," and he was shit.
Yeah,
Henry and Yakuru has similar stats, I think.
Yeah.
What a horrible transfer that was. No, sorry, Labro, go ahead. I interrupted you.
No, but DeAndre Yedlin's from the Seattle area. He grew up at the Seattle Sounders system, and I saw him play a few times. We thought he was going to be fantastic, but he got more into like fashion and tattoos, so it's a bit sad.
Well, horrifying. But my opinion, what Olympiakos should consider doing, I'm not saying go ahead and do it, but what they should consider, go for Zuber. It's unbelievable.
How many wingers do we need, Costa? Do we really need?
No, that's the thing. Onyekuru is being targeted by Turkish teams. If the offer is at least good enough, let him go. I can't believe so much time, effort, and energy was dedicated on Onyekuru, whereas Zuber was just right there, and he just played at the Euros.
You know what? You want a hot take? Onyekuru is turning it around the second half of the season. I'm throwing it out there. There, you heard it here first. It was so funny. I looked up Onyekuru during AFCON to see what was going on, and Nigeria fans were like, "Why isn't Onyekuru playing more? He's the answer to our needs." I'm like, "Oh shit!" Some people are very
Just one little thing I learned from the AFCON. We made a lot of fun of Onyekuru's hairstyle. We did. But did you know that a crazy hairstyle is a commentator's favorite thing in the world? Because it's so easy to recognize the player. You don't have to look at numbers. You don't have to look at how they look. You don't have to look at anything. You just look at the hair and you know exactly who is doing what.
I mean, as Fetanos is saying, I think Onyekuru should get the captain's armband. I mean, maybe if he, gets Taribo West, if anybody's young enough or old enough rather to remember Taribo West, he had those green and white beads in his hair playing in the World Cup with Nigeria. Maybe if Onyekuru does that with red and white, he'll get a bit of love. But anyway, I digress. I put this here on purpose. Yeah, Christian Pavon wanted by Panathinaikos, apparently.
What are they going to pay him with? Broken parts of a stadium? Did you see the stadium collapse? They're going to send Gate 13 again to fix the stadium, man. They couldn't even afford to fix the stadium themselves, so they sent Gate 13 and the fans to go build this. How are the fans going to build the stadium this time? A roof is much more complicated than painting. I don't know. I think it's going to be very difficult. That's it. I don't know what they're going to do.
Well, you know what? It is that time during the podcast when we do our ad read. So if you're not ready for it, doesn't matter. Here it is, guys. Roses are red, violets are blue. Don't let wild hairs wreck you. Valentine's Day is just around the corner, and our sponsors at Manscaped are here with the best tools to get you ready for the special occasion. This Valentine's Day, it's time to join the 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped, the leaders in below-the-waist grooming. With our exclusive offer, you go to manscaped.com and use the code G7INTL. I repeat, use the code G7INTL for 20% off all products and free shipping. And you know what, guys? I'm going to show you the trimmer. Look at that. Can you hear that? Fantastic product. It's got a little light here as well. You can aim it, help you do the business. You can use it as a light for your PowerPoint if you want as well. Very good stuff. Waterproof. Highly recommended. Code G7INTL. Head over to manscaped.com. You can get this nice little bag as well. Yeah. When you buy your trimmer, you can buy some ball toner that exists. You can have a little spray. Ball toner. What else have we got here in the bag? Crop preserver, ball deodorant. Make sure it smells fresh. I don't know.
This sounds like, when Austin Powers, when the guy is giving Austin Powers all of the gadgets, it's like, we have here one tube of toothpaste. Like, do you remember that from Austin Powers? He's like,
does it help that I have a British accent as well?
Yeah, it does. It makes it sound like Austin Powers is gearing up for another movie.
Listen to that. Listen to that. Doesn't that sound like a whole load of sexy? I mean, I can shave off the top of this. You
could. But anyway. All that and more at manscaped.com with the code G7INTL, everyone. And on that note, I want to ask, who the hell is DB Keita, and will he play for Olympiakos? Quick thoughts. And then I think we have to wrap up to keep it a short one.
DB Keita, left winger, apparently, 18 years of age, been playing for Real Madrid youth, I think recently in the under-19s.
Maybe he's friends with Nikos Vergos.
Nikos Vergos played for Castilla, their B team. But that's a done deal, and he's flying in same time as our man Joao Carvalho. I don't know.
Yeah, that's according to reports. That little bit is according to reports that he's traveling the same time as Carvalho. I don't know that for sure that he's coming back. I know that Carvalho is coming back, like you know that Carvalho is coming. That's our exclusive. That is our exclusive. Is that Carvalho is done. He's flying over to Greece to sign with Olympiakos, permanent deal, undisclosed fee. We don't. When it comes to DB Keita, it's according to others. See, that's the difference about journalism, is that when you have your own info and you beat everyone else to it, it's your info. When someone else says it, it's someone else's info.
It's a good point. It's a good point, which I think others would need to learn by, but they don't, just a comment.
Well,
there are some other questions here from the chat that I do want to address quickly before we move on.
Undisclosed fee.
Yeah, Jay Brown is asking.
I don't know. I literally don't know.
Like we were saying at the beginning of the show, I mean, the president of one club talked to the president of the other, and they sorted it. There you go. Is Lavera any good? I think we talked about that a little bit. How much we addressed. Yeah, Platon Papas, Marinakis will have a talk with Marinakis and decide a fee. Yes, mate. What else have we got here in the chat? Manos Gate 7, please Marinakis give our physical lead K427 his number, for God's sake. That's what we're going to remember about on Yukuru, isn't it? Like when he leaves eventually, is that he's a player that came in, dyed his hair green after we got knocked out of the Champions League and took the number 7. That's literally what we're going to remember about Henry and Yukuru. Unless Labro is magically right. He's going to turn it around.
I think he's going to score in the Tumba this weekend. That's it. I think he's going to do it.
I can't. Sparros, our good friend, is Dibby like Vinicius Jr.?
Exactly like him. They're the same person.
I bloody hope so. What can I say? You never know, like even when you see video clips of these like 18-year-olds, it's just like, yeah, okay, put them against men, and like sorry, you can't do that. We'll see. I think he'll start in the B team. It's very different from the Fadiga transfer. Fadiga actually had some first team experience. He went out on loan and played for a League One team. He got some substitute cameo appearances under Thomas Tuchel at PSG. So Dibby was being mentioned in the same vein as Fadiga, but I think they're two very different players, both in terms of age and experience. What else have we got in the comments? Manos Gate 7, quick opinion for Bouchalakis as Olympiakos captain. I just believe he can't have that role. Even Fortounis is much louder, despite the fact that he has a low tone profile.
Is that what a captain does? Shouts? Or is it other ways you can be a captain as well?
I don't know. All I know is I genuinely don't think Bouchalakis is a captain type person. Just as a person, from what I've heard from people from Crete as well. So I don't know. He doesn't. I don't know. People say he never was that type of person. Captain's type, but I don't know.
I've said a lot about Fortounis and this issue about him getting the captain's armband. I think he got it too early. I think they put too much pressure on him at a young age. I agree with Costa though. You can be a player that's not very vocal on the pitch, but you lead by example, by what you do on the pitch. You inspire your teammates. You can be that kind of captain, because Costa he's not very vocal on the pitch. He looks very introvert sometimes when you see him on the TV or when you see him on the pitch. He's not really talking a lot. And if he does it very quiet. Personally, I like somebody that like is talking. Like when I think of captain, I think of Roy Keane. So that to me,
he was intimidating. That to me is captain.
Huh?
He was intimidating as shit though. Like, I mean,
yeah.
you got to have a bit of a balance in how you do things. I mean, Bouchalakis, you don't know how things are in the dressing room. He could be intimidating. If he feels like he's not giving you all,
when he invites you for a vegan burger, when he says we're going for vegan burgers tonight, you know you're screwed.
That has nothing
when he's
to
like,
do with
you're not invited to vegan night tonight.
Vegan food is amazing. Don't knock.
I love vegan food. I'm not. But if he's like, he says, you know what, Joao, you're disinvited from vegan night for the bullshit you pulled at training today. Like, imagine being Joao. Like, you're not happy.
One of the best pro wrestlers in the world is Bryan Danielson, and he is a vegan, and he is an incredible wrestler. The guy is unbelievable. The things he does.
Oh man, I'm just trying to think of an example. I don't know. I'm just like, let's say it's vegan burger night, maybe vegan sausage night, because they do those. And he's just
souvlaki. There's vegan souvlaki as well.
Vegan souvlaki. They're all going out, and he just goes. He turns to Kenny Lala and he says, "You're shit. You're not coming. Kenny Lala is better the next game." That's how I foresee things.
But Kenny Lala only eats halal meat, man.
Well, it's not meat at all, so it's fine.
Anywho.
Anyway, we went way off topic. Erythrolivki Mastura, what's up, man? Says in order to be a captain, you have to be confident and have the captain mentality.
Yeah.
Confidence is a very obscure abstract. It can be anything really, but it just feels like there's a lot of players coming in. I don't really see a project in this, especially when the manager's contract is coming to an end, and we don't know how that's going to go.
It seems like a lot of it's like a scattergun. It's like let's sign 10 players, 5 of them will be good and 5 of them will ship out, or 5 of them will be good and 2 of them will loan and then 3 of them will release. It's that kind of approach, right? It kind of goes back to Labro's article a little bit, which is the whole, what's the long-term vision? Like what's the plan to implement that? And is it just too short-termism? So, let's, take that on, take this one and that one, and let's see if that works out, and we'll see.
And in my opinion, it's a good thing Zahavi is not coming to Olympiakos. Well, of course, tomorrow we might have reports saying, "Oh, actually, he's actually coming." He's 35. I mean,
what can Zahavi offer you at this point in his career? I don't know.
It kind of reminds me of the Buffon thing when we were hearing those ridiculous reports about Buffon coming to Olympiakos. Like, do you want him?
Kosta, how old was Sinisa Gokic when he came to Olympiakos? Was he 34 or 35?
I don't remember, but what I'm trying to say is that when it comes to that age, it is literally a radical minority that is actually going to be a success in this.
Yeah.
It is a literal minority who's going to be a success. And Olympiakos don't need a striker. They need fucking fullbacks. They don't need a striker. Yeah. No, but they don't, though.
No.
I like Zahavi. I like Zahavi. I do like Zahavi. And maybe he'd be great for 2 years at Olympiakos. But all that money, all that effort, all that energy, you're wasting it on the wrong person, man. That's a beanie hat.
It's a style in Brooklyn where I am. Okay, this is what people do.
As well. Yeah, I got
also,
one right here
what happens is it's a bit cold, so I drop the levers or I raise them up if I'm too warm. There you go.
It's
perfect.
Right now. Hussein Güzel. Probably a friend from Turkey tuning in. What's up, man? Komşu. Socrates is the real captain at the moment. I'm not even sure about that, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't think he is. You know what? Maybe I'll save this for a post, but I think there's something with Socrates, and maybe I'll write about it. So
Socrates is fine.
I have a story I'm gonna write about Socrates. I think he's fine, but
you do that.
I may write something. I think there's something there.
Speaking of centre backs. Semedo to Porto, happening, not happening. We've been hearing a lot again the last couple of days. We've talked about a lot of players coming in. We need to ship out some players. So, Maxi Livera probably going out on loan. The other one is we're really trying to get rid of Semedo by the end of the window. The latest news is that Olympiakos and Porto are in discussion. Jorge Mendes is apparently getting involved in this as well. Porto are offering 5 million or 5.5 million. Olympiakos wants 7.5. This is option to buy. Olympiakos wants the option to buy to be an obligation to buy at the end of the loan. There are two other things. Apparently, Porto were trying to throw in players to exchange. One of these being Afonso de Souza, Porto player that's out at Belenenses. Apparently, Olympiakos rejected that. This is an attacking midfielder, forward. So Olympiakos rejected throwing in players as exchange to bring down the cost. Again, Olympiakos want 7.5 million. Now, the other interesting news is that Porto apparently have FF financial fair play issues. So they're saying they don't have the money to give us because they'll be in trouble with financial fair play. We saw that Sporting Lisbon today was punished for not adhering to financial fair play, and they've been given a suspension of 3 years from European competitions, which they are appealing against. So Porto very much wary of that. But get this, my club in England, Tottenham, trying to buy Luis Diaz from Porto, and Porto want 80 million is their minimum fee release clause, but they'll probably let him go for 60. Tottenham's offer was in at around 35 or 40 million, according to what reports you hear. So, sorry, Porto, we know how you operate. It's not that they're not going to have money. They're probably going to end up, this is my hot take, they're probably going to end up selling Luis Diaz on transfer deadline day. Probably not to Tottenham, given our luck and our shitty transfer strategy. And I think Ruben Semedo is gone at the end of the window. And just the last point from me, because I looked
just a little parenthesis about Luis Diaz is that Porto are being very apprehensive about letting Luis Diaz leaving, especially midway through the season, because they lost Jesus Corona and Sergio Oliveira. So it is a matter of keeping the team intact and within their means of challenging for title, especially after losing it last season.
They need money though, Costa.
They do, yes, but they also want to succeed on the pitch. And Corona and Oliveira's departure, granted that Oliveira's is a loan deal, they do want some stability on the pitch and the roster.
Oliveira, they only sold for 16 million euros, I think, right, to Roma?
I don't remember the fee.
Or loan with option.
Yeah, he's a good player.
Yeah, I didn't think so at the start, but when he played for PAOK, you remember that? Yeah. But anyway, he scored against Juventus in the Champions League
season as well.
Amazing performance against Juventus, both legs.
Yeah. The thing that I wanted to mention about Semedo was, interestingly, so we signed him for, I think, 4.5 million or 5 million euros. And according to Transfermarkt, the highest his market value went while playing for us was 8 million euros. And his market value today is 5.
I really just want to replug my article. Like, I think it's mentioned in there. The article really goes into this. Olympiakos has been very poor at selling players in the past, under the Martins era completely. If you look, any big transfer outside of Kostas Tsimikas had the hands of Jorge Mendes. So, George Mendes, whatever they say. I think that's a problem. And Semedo is going to be another Mendes deal. So I wonder what that shows about Olympiakos and who is making the transfers and who's selling players.
Well, it kind
you
of
can
cuts
read my
both.
article, everyone.
That kind of cuts both ways, Labro, the whole Jorge Mendes thing, because the Jorge Mendes thing started with Forest and Joao Carvalho.
Yeah, but you want to hear something? Jorge Mendes and all of his buddies got kicked the fuck out of Nottingham Forest. Vretzos was kicked out. All the Greeks who had all of their Greek Olympiakos fingers were, boom, so long, buddy. Modesto, so long, Modesto. I don't know. Does it say something that Nottingham Forest have turned the corner as soon as those guys have left the team and they've given it to more competent, English, experienced footballing minds? I don't know. Just something to pose. It's just,
The key thing that you said there is English, and then on the other hand, Greek. Where is Greek football and where is English football? I don't think we can even mention them in the same sentence.
the media is what saved Nottingham Forest from what is happening at Olympiakos. To be honest, independent, investigative journalism saved Nottingham Forest and drove changes at Nottingham Forest. So I don't think it's something that's capable of happening in Greece and for Olympiakos. So the freedom of the press and the accountability to hold people in charge accountable is very strong there. You would read some of the messages under the Athletic post about Nottingham Forest. Not beautiful, I promise. You would see some of the fans going up to the president's box during the darker days earlier this season. Not beautiful. So I don't know. I think that's a big thing as well. I've mentioned that a few times. But
I would just like to touch on the Semedo thing. In my opinion, I think I think it'd be a triumph if he just left. Personally, I wouldn't if he left it on a free transfer. I feel like his contract should have been terminated when that thing happened. In my opinion, I feel like he's like a dark cloud on the team. He was a very popular figure backstage in the locker room, very popular figure. And now that he's not playing, I feel like maybe that's having an effect. Nevertheless, I feel like he just let him go, just end it right there. There's no point anymore.
yeah, I'm with you.
I think that's all we got, guys. We're
so,
running
too.
up to an hour. Do we
I
have
would just-
anything else?
I would just like to conclude and say how proud I am for all of our work so far, and mainly on the Joao Carvalho coverage. I would like to say that we approached this with the utmost integrity. We used our sources. We approached this with serenity. We were calm about it. We only used our sources. We didn't try to take credit from anyone or anything. This is the information we have. Can it go south? Can it not happen? Absolutely. That's how transfers are. Anything can happen. So yeah, there is a chance that maybe Joao Carvalho won't happen. But the info we have is that it is happening, and Greek journalists are now backing us up on this without mentioning us. Some of them, not all of them. There's a lot of them who did mention us actually today. Some of them didn't.
I think this whole Joao Carvalho transfer speaks a lot to how Olympiakos does business as a football club as well. The fact that a deal was made, terms were reached, and Pédro Martins then was like, no, let's wait. Let's pump the brakes on this. I think it says a lot about the transfer making process at Olympiakos at the moment. That's just my opinion as well. But yeah, I will echo that. I think we showed a lot of professionalism in this transfer. No centralization, just trusting what we were being told. And I think everyone can continue to see that when we report that we have sources and we have news, it's completely trustworthy. We were the first people to break this story on Joao Carvalho. And 15, 20 minutes later, the biggest media in Greece confirmed it. I think it says a lot. And I'm really proud of the team as well. So, yeah.
Just look at the times. Go on Twitter and look at the times. Just look at who posted what at what time. But anyway, I'm very proud of us, guys. Congratulations to all of us on this. Can it go south? Yes, it can. But this is the info we got. This is the info we give you. So there you go.
There you go, guys. Yep, coming up to an hour now. Concluding this transfer special, we've talked about the ins and the outs. Just having a look at the chat here to see if there's anything else that we haven't really addressed. Manos, big upset due to new COVID cases in our basketball team. Yeah, man. Basketball team's really been keeping me sane this year, and COVID's really hit us in a bad way, bad timing. It is what it is. Bulk game to look forward to, guys, on Sunday. Let's see what the weather has to say about that. But until then, we are Gate 7 International. Thanks for sticking with us. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the like button if you haven't done so already. See you next time. Hey.